directly going to update and delete without selecting. But usually we select and then update or delete. And if you want to go straight away also is fine. It's up to you. Okay, it's up to your programmer based on there are few parameters we used to think, and based on the parameters you can decide whether you're going to update directly or you're going to select and update. And depends on system design also. Now let us see some, let us see some debugging. So here I told you there are 3 steps, in fact 4 steps. Okay, pre-compiler. There are pre-compilation step, and we have compilation step, and we have linked step. So this is, then we have 4th step as bind. So in pre-compilation step, what it is going to do, it is going to check for SQL, all the SQL errors. So in pre-compilation step, so you have included a member, right? You have included one member, the table declaration generator in working storage section, and you have written queries in procedure division. So what is in pre-compilation it is going to do? It is going to compare the SQL queries you have written in procedure division against the variable names and table name in DCLGen member or DCLGen copybook. So if there's a mismatch between the members, the variables, and like column names and table name in procedure division, when compared to what you have copied in working storage section, you are going to get errors. You would have seen yesterday, people have started running programs. You would have seen undeclared table, undefined field, unusable host variable. What does it mean? The variables, the column names, host variables, and what else you have? Table name. Table name in procedure division doesn't match. Okay, doesn't match the variables defined in included member. Okay, so you have to make sure you create a table properly. You can create a DCLGen properly. You copy the member, then mostly it will be matching. Sometimes you can copy paste in a notepad and then do it. See, even you would have seen I would have used notepad a lot, because the font we use in mainframe and font we use in notepad are exactly same. You can copy paste easily between notepad and mainframe. And even if you download something from mainframe to Windows, if you open in notepad, it is going to be exactly same alignment because the fonts are exactly same. It uses Courier New. Courier New is the font for notepad as well as the mainframe. That's why I'm using notepad a lot. And column names, host variable, table name in procedure division, and doesn't match the variable defined in included member of working storage section. You have to basically cross verify this. Basically cross verify this. Then as part of pre-compilation step, it is going to create 2 reports. One is sysprint, I think, sysprint, then system. Okay, I'll just log on and show you. Okay, 3.4 gamma 01 DB2 source. Some program is already there. I'm submitting. Go to spool. So here you put question mark. There are, okay, it says execute. Oh, it's run JSL. I have to compile, right? So in compilation, so we have 3 steps. If you come first, you have to come here. You have to see the step and the return code. So as far as pre-compiler is concerned, okay, we can have RCS return code should be either, it should be only 0, not 4. As far as compilation is concerned, it can have RC equal to either 0 or 4, both are fine. And linked it, RC return code should be 0. And bind, the return code is going to be 4 or 0. Okay, it should be 4, 0 or 4. But usually here in training you will get only 4. And you have to see a message bind is successful. But remember, if you get RC0 here, then bind will be successful. If you get RC4 here, bind will be 8. But you don't know what to do. So what you have to do, make sure pre-compiler is always 0. So this is the place where you are going to see the return code of every step. So in pre-compilation, what it is going to do, it takes the COBOL DB2 source and split it into 2. One is COBOL source code with committed SQL. Next one is a DBRM. So there, what it is going to do, it is going to check the column names and table name that is written in procedure division with the column names and table name that you have done in given any included member in working storage section. It is going to cross verify, compare. If there's a mismatch, it is going to say undefined or unusable host variable or column name. You would have given some underscore instead of hyphen. You would have missed colon. Okay, you would have missed one comma. Okay, and it may have misspelled table name. It could be anything. That's why what I'm saying, when you write a program, you copy paste the DCLgen in a notepad so that from the DCLgen, you write the program. Procedure division. So you never miss. So you never miss the variable names. Variable names will be exactly correct. So what you do, the DCLgen member, you copy paste in a notepad, and when you're writing in procedure division, you just verify that or copy paste the same variable so that you never make that mistake. So here in pre-compiler there are two reports, sysprint and system. Sysprint is a detailed report and system is a summary report. Okay, you can see a number of lines. If number of lines is 8 in system, it means there is no error. If it is other than 8, you can assume there's an error in PC. PC stands for pre-compiler. So if you see system, okay, again deleted automatically. COB002. Okay. So as far as DB2 is concerned, it's an advanced database. So there will be a lot of extra commands which will be written by the program, by system. So if you select this, you can scroll down. Okay, you can see the line number. Okay, and this line number will be shown in system also. You can scroll down. See, you can see include employee has been expanded like this from the PDS member, from DCLgen PDS, and then your program. So if you have any errors, it will show error here immediately. So either you can use sysprint or you can use system. System is summary of messages. So what you do, so normally what I do, I go for summary of messages with or without errors. Okay. Summary of messages with or without errors. Here program detail with or without errors. Now there is no errors. That's why I'm saying without errors. So either one of these you can refer and identify what is the problem. But there are many lines introduced by system automatically. You might be confused. But once you practice, it will be all right. But here it doesn't introduce many lines. It has just expanded the include member of table. Otherwise, this include employee, it has expanded. Otherwise, it hasn't done nothing. Then it's going to compare the emp ID and emp name and host variable. These two variables and table name are matching the variable names you are given in procedure division. So PC is going to be SQL errors. Then compilation COBOL errors. Already you are aware you are going to get 8 or 12. 12 means COBOL errors. In COBOL errors, You can just scroll down. You have seen written already few programs. These are line number. If you want to spot the line number in program, you have to put unknown. But here in DB2, what it is going to do, it is going to introduce many lines. Okay, you should keep scrolling and to find the errors. It keeps scrolling to find the errors. Because I told you, COBOL compiler doesn't understand SQL statements. So what it is going to do, it is going to comment the SQL statements and replace with call statement. Move on call statements. These are some statements introduced by system. So all the SQL statement comments out and replace with move and call statements. That's what it is done in pre-compiler. And then that output is going to given as input for COBOL compiler. So output of pre-compiler comes as an input for COBOL compiler. So when COBOL compiler takes the program, all the SQL statements would have been commented. I would have introduced a lot of additional variables like this. You should not get confused. And here SQLCA will be expanded. SQLCA is an inbuilt copybook in the system. Like how a sort program is in the system. It's not a user-defined program in a PDS. Okay, we never compile compile. It's already there in the system. Similarly, SQLCA is in the system. This is a SQLCA structure. Yesterday we saw SQLCA is a 136 bytes in length. It includes all these. Here the important field is SQL code. So even though it's S9 of 9, what do you mean by S9 of 9? What is the maximum number you can store in S9 of 9? Forget about comp5. S9 of 9. What is the maximum number you can store?
3276.
S9 of 9. Not S9 of 9. Just S9 of 9. That's all. See, it's not a binary. It's just think S9 of 9. S9 of 9. You can store 9 nines. Okay, that's the maximum number. And even though it can store a larger number, the SQL code is going to be always either 0 or negative or positive, and it's going to be only 3 digits. Okay, only 3 digits. So I'm showing here SQLCA expands here. Even yesterday, Jagabadi Babu asked, right? Want to see SQLCA? This is the expansion of SQLCA. But this will be used for. So here SQL code is the only field which is used in program. And can you do mass update and mass delete? Is it possible in a COBOL program? Mass update and mass delete?
No, sir.
Is it possible or not? I'm not asking is it allowed or not. Mahabub, is it possible or not? Mass update, mass delete?
Possible.
Possible. It's possible, but it is not allowed. Okay, and if you are doing mass update, suppose you're writing update table set something equal to something, it is going to update all the rows in a table. For example, take your employee table, update table set column name equal to location equal to salary plus 10,000, where project equal to Walmart. So what it is going to do, it is going to update all the people who has Walmart, right? So if you want to know the number of rows it has changed, we have a field in SQLCA. That field is SQLERRD. So this field is going to have the number of rows that has been affected by the query. And this SQLCA will be filled for every SQL operation. It could be a select or insert, update, delete, whatever. After every SQLCA operation, system is going to fill all the fields, but you are going to use only this field. And there's one more additional field called SQLERRD. Occurs 6 times means what? It's a
6 rows get affected.
Array.
It's an array. Occurs means array. Not 6 rows get affected. Occurs 6 times means array. So in SQL, it's an interview question. Okay, it's an interview question. It's not really required, but it's interview point of view. It is required. If you go open Google and search for DB2 question, interview question, you'll get this. SQLERRD of third occurrence will have a number of rows affected in mass update or delete. Okay, number of rows affected in mass update or delete. But mass update and delete are never allowed. If in case if you do, this will have the value. But it's just an interview question. It's never used in projects because mass update and delete will never be used. Never, it's not allowed. So coming back to this, so in compilation, all the even SQLCA copybooks expanded, and there are many introduced new statements. Don't get panic on seeing this. All the statements will be commented. If you have any errors, it is going to show immediately. Probably I will introduce some error and show you. Okay, I'm going to introduce some error. I'm going to keep it as underscore. So, so underscore here. So host variable is undefined. Okay, and syntax error, COBOL syntax error. So this error will be shown in pre-compiler. This error will be shown in COBOL compiler. So let me execute. Max is equal to 8. So you have to go to spool, F3, question mark. Come first here. Come. Okay, COBOL compiler didn't start because of the conditional codes. So pre-compiler is 8. So either this is, you can see one of these. Usually better you see this. If you don't understand, you go for the sprint. So here you can see the whether it's a error or warning. E for error. Okay, this is a message. You don't message code is ignore that. E for error. It is going to give in line 45 in column 21, column 33 undefined or unusable host variable. So this is not a defined variable in working storage section. That's what it says. So what you have to do, you have to go copy this. Probably you can copy this, go to DCLGen, PDF copybook. We have only one table, just search, it is not there. So it's a spelling mistake. So usually compilation errors are mostly spelling mistake. Now for Asim, I'm resolving this. Now still we have COBOL compiler errors. Introduce the command when other was incorrect. So we are getting 12. Now you go to spool again. Just check. First you come and see here. There are multiple steps, right? If you have multiple steps, you have to see which step has failed. So pre-compiler is 0. So pre-compiler is 0. COBOL compiler is 12. Now you have to go to COBOL compiler suspend. Question mark. Okay, sorry. Select. And then this one you know, right? This one you are aware. But there are many introduced statements. Don't get panic on seeing. Just keep scrolling with patience. See, it says OTH was not defined as data name. Actually, it's not a defined. It's not a data name. It's nothing but a command. It's a keyword. And if you still scroll down, you can go to the bottom, MF8. You will see a list of error messages. It's a summary report. Okay, summary report, you can see how many severe errors, error, minor error, warning, and information total. And return code 12. So you can see all the error messages at the bottom, including the line number 168. And this 168 will not be mapped to DB2, your PDS member, because there are many introduced lines. You cannot directly go to because the program is itself 50 lines, and here it shows 168. This is a different line because the system has introduced many lines. So we have 3 steps: pre-compilation, compilation, linked it. In pre-compilation, all the SQL errors will be there. It is going to check, basically it's going to check the syntax, field names and table name and host variable names against the PDS member. Compilation, COBOL errors, and 0 or 4 are allowed. Then linked it. Linked it means here it is going to link So link errors. Link means what? Any subprogram linking. If we are going to connect a subprogram link errors. Okay, any subprogram you are going to have in your program, it is going to link. So last week I introduced one call ILBOA BN0. So ILBOA BN0 is inbuilt subprogram. Okay, you are going to call that. If you have a call statement, it's a subprogram. And bind. So I'll tell you what bind do. So bind, it's going to it's going to connect to DB2 subsystem and then check the following. So what it is going to check? It is going to check whether table is present. Whether column names in table are correct. Whether column names in table are correct or present, and whether you have access, whether you have required access to perform the operation, and some more to perform the operation. So here in pre-compilation, it is going to just check the SQL, syntax, not syntax error, just it is going to compare the spelling of variables in procedure division against the member. Okay, suppose in olden days we didn't have DCLgen. Okay, we can even write DCLgen. The structure, whatever we saw in DCLgen, that's also correct. For example, let me show you. So this is a DCLgen, right? This is just a host working storage section. So in olden days, in some company, what they do, they just copy paste. We write a DCLgen manually. Okay, DCLgen manually. You can write DCLgen manually. This is also correct. So when DCLgen is written manually, what happens? If this is correct, if this pre-compiler is okay, it comes to bind step. In bind step, what it is going to do, it is really going to check whether table is present or not. You would have given some table name here. That table name in working storage section may match procedure, whatever you have written in procedure division, but the table is never present at all in DB2. Then bind is going to check that. Bind is going to check whether table is really present or not. And bind is also going to check whether column names you have mentioned in the query is present in table or not. And finally, bind is going to check whether you are going to you have required access. Suppose you have written access, insert. Whether you have insert access, probably you are having read access. So you will not have insert access. So bind is going to fail, saying your user ID doesn't have insert access. So bind is going to do other operations like it is going to check whether table is really present, column names are really present, whatever you have mentioned in procedure division in SQL queries, and whether you have required access. See, based on this, you have to decide. Okay, this is how you have to understand. So what we have seen what is SQL code. SQL code stands for structured query language code. It's like how we have file status code, we have SQL code. For singleton select, it's going to be either 0 or 100 or other. For insert, it's going to be 0 or minus 803 for index table and other. And singleton update going to be 0 or other or 0 100 others, based on whether you're going to do singleton update and delete without selecting. And debugging, there are 4 steps involved in compilation: pre-compiler, compiler, link edit, and bind. And here in this training, we have 2 JCLs. One JCL is containing 3 steps. The last JCL is going to have only bind step. So pre-compilation is just going to expand the PDS member, DCLgen member. It's just going to compare the variables in procedure division against variables in the member. And in compilation, COBOL syntax is going to be checked. In pre-compilation, we should have always RZ0. and in linked it, we have to have RC equal 0. And bind is going to have RC equal to 0 or 4. If it is 4, it's fine, provided it says bind for plan successful. And remember, only in bind it is really going to connect to DB2 and determine whether it is already table is present or not. You guys have got some idea, so try to resolve by yourself. So suppose today we are going to try to probably a couple of programs, okay, and say we have an employee vsum file or PS file, whatever. So we have an employee table already created. Remember, only DML commands can be used in program. DML and say TCL commands. Forget about TCL commands. The commit and rollback will be automatically given by system when the program ends successfully or ends abnormally. I already told you before break. It's going to be implicit commit, implicit rollback. Assume you have PS file. So we have PS file. We have a table, employee table. So we have 25 records, employee data. I'm asking you to write a program to load all the data into table. Can you tell me the high level logic? So we have write a program. So here now I'm planning to tell you how to write logic. That is the reason. So write a program. We assume we have employee table. Write a program to load employee table from employee PS file. So you have to come up with some proper logic, okay? So remember, your requirement is going to be in plain English. From plain English, you have to try to understand what I was supposed to do. Then you have to come up with logic. So without having this thinking, you cannot start writing program. First of all, you have to understand what is the requirement. Then you have to understand with the language you have, with the commands you are aware, how to convert this into a logic based on what type of programming. It's a procedural language. We have object-oriented language. Okay, we cannot jump into writing program directly and start thinking. When you are trying to think while writing, you cannot think at all. Okay, that we cannot do two things at a time. But it involves a lot of practice. If you want to do multitasking simultaneously, but still the brain cannot focus more than one thought. So basically, when any question is given, try to understand the complete requirement. Then with whatever program, whatever database, data storage you are going to have, think what could be the logic. Can you tell me the logic? High level logic. Can you tell me what will be the high level logic first? Load employee table. Table is already created. Table is already created from employee PS file. So which is input? Neha, which is input? Which is input? So Neha, which is input? Employee PS file is input. And output is going to be
employee table.
So it's a PS file and output is table. So write a program. This is having data. That's why it's input. This is the empty table. Okay, it's empty table. That's why, and we are going to read all the data from input file and load into table. So if it's a PS file, what type of processing can do? Only sequential processing, right? And right now, since we are going to load all the records from table, we are going to use only sequential processing. So what will be the first file operation? or database operation, whatever. Tell me the just operation. First, you are going to
Read. Open.
you have to be very careful. One by one command. Open what?
Read.
PS file.
Open PS file.
How many times you are going to open?
One time.
One time. Then how many times? Then what you are going to
Read.
PS file. How many times you are going to read?
Until status is equal to 0.
Till end of file. Forget about status equal to 10 or whatever. Okay. This is a high level logic. End of file can be any status code, or you'll be using some other file. There the status code would have been 100 also. Okay, here in PS file status code 10. Okay, see, but it's going to be end of file is reach. Okay, then after reading, what are you going to do?
Right.
After reading, data is going to be in working storage structure, right?
Yes.
Then what are you going to do? Move data from working storage record to where? First variable. First variable of table. Then
Right.
the write command for table. Input is file, output is table. It's going to be
Insert.
insert into table. Okay, see, depending on what you are going to use, you have to come up with a high level logic like this. So after reading, are you going to do immediately after reading? If read is successful. Okay, only if read is successful. Read is successful means once. File status equal to 0. If read is successful, moving and inserting. How many times you are going to do till end of file? Okay, so this is, since it's going to be executed multiple times, it's going to be in a loop. And finally, what are you going to do? Close PS file. Table need not be opened. Okay, table you can straight away directly do the operations. Table will be automatically opened for any database operations. System automatically opens a table for use. So we need not open the table explicitly. So you have to come up with some high level logic like this. Okay, then you have to start writing a program. If something is given, some requirement is given, you have to think understand and what is requirement. If you don't understand, ask the person who has given the requirement, because the way the people say the requirement might be different based on person who is writing. Okay, the English will be different. So we have to make sure we ask the person who has given the requirement, and make sure both are in same page. Then with the available options, available commands, whatever language you know or database storage you know, come up with a logic like this. Just see what are the first steps. Always the first steps is going to be opening the files, initializing the fields, initializing the counters, or getting system information like date, time, etc. Because all these are one time. Even accepting something, if it's a one time, all one time process is done. Then we are going to read the input. Input is the main data which is going to be processed sequentially. If it's sequential means it's a loop. You have to know when to stop the loop. After reading, if you have to check whether read is successful, because read may not be successful also. So after reading, read is successful, then they do appropriate actions, moving, inserting, all these. See, this is similar to reading and writing into PS file. Read a file, write is a PS file. By inside of PS file, we are having a table. That's all. It's not a big deal. Only thing is you have to pay attention, focus, do step by step. With concentration, it will come. Any doubts on this? So you have to make sure you properly, do one by one properly. Don't be in a hurry in writing. Don't be not like Harindra. I'm talking a hurry. This hurry is different. You should not be hurry in writing. Okay, you should make sure take time before. Take time. Try to understand the question and try to come up with a logic in mind. You can take it a piece of paper also. Since you are freshers, because in projects you will not be writing a small program. Okay, it can be some reasonable size program, reasonable logic. You cannot straight away directly start writing program. You have to first understand properly. Then you have to understand what are the data sources. Basically, we are going to get data from here and there, process, calculate, and then write here and there. That's all. That you have to have the sequence you have to design. Then you start writing program. After writing, just take a look at the program, and then you can compile. Okay, so this is this is the document which has the message for let's see what is minus 811 and 100 also. Let's see what is 100 row not found for fetch, update or delete. I told you, right, for update or delete we can get 100, or an empty table also. Table is empty, if you are selecting you will get 100, but this one we will see anyway tomorrow. Fetch is the command which will be seeing tomorrow. And let's search for minus 811. You can search for 811 directly. The result of an embedded select statement is a table of more than one row, or the result of subquery of basic predicates more than one row. That's why it's called minus 811 is you are going to get, and minus 803 duplicate. An inserted or updated value is invalid because the index constrains column name of the table such that no two rows can contain duplicate values. So here we haven't seen something. SQL constraints. We saw not null is a constraint, primary key is a constraint, foreign key is a constraint. There are a few more constraints like default, unique, and check constraint. Okay, let's see what is default. It's very easy, self-explanatory. Now you have become an expert in SQL, so it's going to be very easy. You can learn by yourself. That's why I'm telling now. So default. The default constraint provides a default value to a column when the insert into statement doesn't provide a specific value. If you are so it's a default value to be initialized into the column if you are not specifying inserting any value into that field. For example, the following SQL creates a table customers and adds 5 columns. A salary column is set to 5,000 by default. So in case insert into statement doesn't provide a value for this column, then by default the column will be 5,000. So you understood what is default? You can in create table you can give default constraint like this. So if you don't insert salary, because I told you, I told you inserting a value in a column is optional in DB2. Okay, but in a file we are going to write a record. Record is going to have spaces. If you are not going to insert data, spaces will be written into the record. But in DB2, it can have anything. Okay, in DB2 you either insert or you need not insert. So if you don't insert value in salary field, it's going to be default to 5,000. So this is a default constraint. Unique constraint. So what does it mean? Unique constraint prevents two records from having identical values. So if you write unique here, what does it mean?
Does not have to be similar.
Okay, no. Suppose if you write unique in name, what is going to be? So it is not going to allow
Duplicates.
But this is not the key. Key will be ID. Okay. In addition, you can have constraint. For example, if you take a bank, account number will be the primary key, but you will have customer number, relationship number. That should be unique. You understand that customer relationship number, even though it is not a primary key in account database, you cannot have duplicate customer number because that is a login ID. So the system will have? System will have unique constraint. So when you're inserting a data into a table, it is going to throw error because everything is automated. No one is going to monitor whether you're inserting duplicate or non-unique values. Okay, system is going should be set in such a way it has to throw an error to the user. So you can use unique constraint or default constraint. There is one more constraint which we have never seen, check constraint. For example, you can check like this. Check constraint enables a condition to check the value being entered into a record. If the condition evaluates to false, record violates the constraint and is not entered into table. So any constraint is going to be checked when you are inserting data into a table or even in updating also. So it is going to check. So when you are going, what does it mean? Satish, what does it mean? Check age greater than or equal to 18.
It will it will accept only greater than
Only
18.
18. Only 18. So and see, very easy. See, the table or database is very, very complex. Very complex as well as very advantageous also. Suppose take see a simple database, a census database. Okay, Indian government census database. All the citizens of India is in Indian government census database or Indian government database. Suppose election commission is asking, I want to know how many people are eligible voters in India. How do you check?
Age.
Age greater than or equal to 18.
Yes, sir.
Okay, count of. Then election commission says, I want a copy of data where. See, I want a copy of data for eligible voters. What we can do, we can write a small subquery, a simple subquery. And from that table, we can insert in data into another table. In just single 4-5 lines, we can complete a simple subquery. So what you do, create a table for election commission alone and have check constraint. So have the census table, have the election commission table. Election commission table is going to have check constraint. Then you can have a simple subquery which is going to get data from table, main table, and insert into election commission table. And then you can give select count of star in the election commission table. It is going to tell how many people are there in the entire India. If you want state wise, you can give where condition for state. Just see if it is a file, just think about the file. You have to write a complex, you have to write a big program. Program should count manually. But here you have a command called count. Right? You have a function called count, it is going to quickly count. Even you can insert data through subquery also without writing a program. So it's very advantageous. So check is also a constraint which is going to be checked when you are going to insert data into the table. If it violates, it is going to throw an error. I think some -3 or something error. For any violation, it is going to give negative SQL code. So we are going to create an employee table. Okay, employee table, and then so this is the program we are going to write, and then let's see. So employee name, employee designation is not there, right? Let me introduce employee designation. Employee department is project, location, and salary. So you decide what could be the, what could be the data type and length. Based on the file you decide. Okay, if you want to keep it as EMP also is fine. If you find employee is a big name, you can keep employee and insert 2 rows is not required. From your employee PS file to the above created employee table. So this will be the first thing you are going to do afternoon, and then we'll be writing one more program. So I'll be thinking about the program. So we have just seen how to do it. And make employee number as a key. Okay, employee number as key. Now you are going to insert. You are going to insert what are the SQL codes you are going to handle? You're going to handle 0,
100.
-803, sir.
-803. Okay, good.